Plans moving to 3-1 with a win over Delaware last week. Just give us a little bit of your thoughts now before we move on to Missouri State.
Yeah, after you watched the video there, I was pleased with our effort. One of the things that we talked a lot about is playing complementary football. I thought we did that for most of the game. All three phases. There's obviously some things there that you want to correct, that you want to not happen. And so, but I thought from a penalty standpoint, we played clean. And one of the things we've been really, pushing is just not beat ourselves. I thought we did a good job of that. It's something that you hope in all phases continues to give you confidence as you move forward into Missouri State. They do a fantastic job from a scheme standpoint. Offensively, they're going to use a lot of personnel, and then defensively, they are big and strong. They've struggled. People have struggled to score points on them, with the exception of Southern Cal, which Southern Cal scores points on everybody. And so they do a really, really good job. This is going to be a big challenge from a physical standpoint for us on both sides of the ball. I think to this point, they're arguably the most physical football team that we have seen, just from the way they run, the way they hit. And so we know we got a huge opportunity in front of us. It's basically like an elimination game in the conference, and so we understand that. And so our guys will have to practice really well this week to play well.
When you go back to the game this past Saturday, watch at linebacker position where you're playing without Joseph Carter. You probably played a lot of guys there given the nature of the game and the score, but who are some of the guys you thought played well in the snaps that you gave them?
Yeah, I thought they did a good job. The one guy that Aiden Vaughn played well. I thought Deuce Burlock played well. He got banged up there during the game a little bit. Real Farrar played. Was coming off of an injury. I thought he did exceptional. Delano Glod ended up getting a decent amount of snaps as a redshirt freshman. He's played some special teams, but I was really pleased with him and the way he played. He didn't. The moment wasn't too big for him, and so he's somebody that's just continued to work and comes up here and he's all the time studying. And so I thought as a group those guys played pretty well. We got to continue to do that. Got to continue to play at a high level. We had there was a couple miscommunications there, but when you got some guys that are playing maybe more than they're used to, you expect that to happen, and now they've seen it. And so I would shout out that whole group, but I really want to give Delano as a young guy. He's from Canada, so give him some credit there. But I thought he did a nice job in there and making some good plays.
You get Brylan back after a long time here. Mm-hmm. How good was it having him back there, and what did you see from him in his first game back in a while?
Yeah, I think one, it's just a guy that's played a lot of football. It's great to have another guy back there that has. He was gone for 4 or 5 games. It seems like 4 for sure, and 4.5, I guess. And just one from a comfort standpoint, when you have him back there, it makes from a defensive standpoint easier to call some things because hey, maybe if I mess it up or something, Brylan's back there, he can handle it. So that was good too. The plan there was I don't have it in front of me how many snaps he played, but the plan was to let's sort of ease him in. And I think he ended up playing a decent amount of snaps. Yeah, he ended up playing a good amount of football. And so I think that's credit to him and his work. That's credit to our strength coaches and our trainers for getting him back. He had a small fracture. It was non-surgical, and he's been working ever since the Old Dominion game to get back. And so for him to be able to do that, play that number of snaps, he didn't. His conditioning was there, his level was there. So that's a huge positive for us as we go forward. I was pleased that you look up, and I knew he was going to play. Then you look up and you see him in there quite a bit, and so, which was good. That means he was ready to go.
Is there any one or two things you can point to as kind of on offense that kind of turned the tide there? Coming into the Delaware game, the team was averaging around 19 points a game, but then you go out and score 59, which I think is most in a game in your 3 years here.
Well, I think one, you're able to over the break there. I say a break, we've not been very good consistently. We know that. Why is that? And so I think we were able to pinpoint why we weren't, and you really should try to figure some of those things out. I'm not telling you we're scoring 59 points the rest of the year. That's not happening. But I think that we were able to really hone in on some things that we really needed to fix to be able to consistently put points on the board. Sometimes the other team stops us, but the majority of the time there's things that we've done to ourselves in all these games that have kept us from either getting a touchdown, maybe some for a field goal or a penalty that sets us back. And if you go back and look, most of those games that there was some where we weren't doing enough offensively, there were some opportunities that we could have had more points. And it was a lot of self-inflicted wounds, so we really put a lot of emphasis on those things. And then I think what happened Saturday is we were able to really create some explosive plays, and when you create big explosive plays and you get chunk plays, then you don't have the opportunity to mess up those little small ones all the time. And that's one of the areas I think that we've struggled is either missing explosive plays. We've had some and we've missed. And if you make some of those, then you don't have to snap it again. And when you snap it, again, sometimes you mess up. And so I think that helped as well. So we got to find a way to make sure that we can continue to create opportunities for explosive plays, and we got to make them. We made all of them Saturday. Going forward or going backwards, there was always in games we might have had some that we've missed. And when you miss those, now you got to snap it again. And when we weren't as clean, that hurt us. And so I think that was a big part of it.
Has Evan developed more confidence in the running back room? Not confidence in like his ability, but just in the plays, the scheme. Just seeing things clearer, quicker. That type of thing. Is that what you would attribute to Saturday?
I mean, he looked that way, didn't he? I mean, he did. I think he's never lacked confidence in himself, or he's never lacked confidence in what we're doing. I think as a running back. You have to continue to trust the guys up front, trust the guys on the perimeter that they'll do what they need to do. Because when you have big long runs, that's a perimeter. That's everybody up front. That's everybody doing their job. And I think as we were, trying to figure out how to get the offense going in some of those, and you're everybody's affected by that as you're trying to figure out what's the right piece up front, what's the right way what we need to be calling, all those different stuff. And I think anytime what he's done. Every time he's got his just opportunity, he's performed consistently at a high level, no matter what the circumstances are. But the last how many weeks that he's been playing there, I mean, he's playing at a different level than most. From a speed standpoint, from a physicality standpoint, and so hopefully we're all gelling at the right time.
From an accuracy standpoint, it sure looked like Ethan's best game. Would you agree with that? And what would you say? Is it health related that he's just doing better now, or what would you think?
I think part of it's health. When you're as a quarterback, any thrower, when you hurt your throwing arm, to continue to play, you adjust sometimes, right? You adjust your arm angle, do all those things. And when you do that, sometimes your technique goes, and that causes you to maybe make throws that are high sometimes and different things. And so I think the health he's been able over those 18 days, he was able to get that shoulder feeling back to normal. And so I would say he's been able to throw back to let's say a normal slot again, meaning his normal way of throwing. And so I think your accuracy is going to increase if you're throwing the way your body should. I think that's part of it. We're hopefully putting him in situations where he feels good about what we're calling and where we should go with the football. I thought there was only maybe one that I would say, hey, be a little careful on in that game,
Yeah.
And he's putting it where we can catch and run. And so that was overall, I think, his best overall game as far as managing the game, making the plays that need to be there, running the ball well, but also not forcing anything. If it's not there, hit your check down. If it's not all those things, he didn't try to force something in there. He was smart with the football, and we got to do that. If we don't turn it over, and we just don't put ourselves in some bad positions, foolish penalty wise, then we have some confidence we can move the ball. Yesterday or Saturday was the first time probably, in a long time that there was just consistency in all those areas.
And what do you like about Jacob Clark for Missouri State? I mean, his ability to throw the football.
Nothing. He's too good. No, I think they do. I think they do a really good job from a scheme standpoint. I think he's been there a long time. I don't know, 6-7 years, whatever it is. 7th year guy. So he knows more football than probably most people combined. And they do a really nice job with their system as far as a bunch of different personnel groups. And so they're going to put 2 tight ends out there. Then the next time it could be 3. Then it could be 4 wide receivers. And he's able to know what they're trying to do with their offensive coordinator. He's seen everything. And so you're not going to surprise him. And so we got to do a good job of trying to contain and do a good job of hopefully maybe making him slow down a little bit and think. Some of the things we'll show him, and so, but they do a really good job. Again, all three phases. They play hard. I mean, they came from the Missouri Valley. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? You come from the Missouri Valley, and you've done well in the Missouri Valley. You're going to be a good team. Missouri Valley's how many national championships has that group won in FCS? I mean, they're the best conference. So if you perform well in that group in that league, which they have, then you're going to perform well in a lot of leagues because it's a physical league, and they've got good coaches. Coach Beard does a great job, and so our guys know the importance of the game, but know, man, that we got to be able to try to do something to affect the quarterback if we have a chance to get them on the field, and then vice versa. They're very stingy on defense. They don't give up a lot, and so it's going to be a physical game.
You mentioned this being the most physical test for your team. Is that kind of new, or not new, but is that rare for being a FBS debut team, like a relatively new team in FBS? Have you seen that a lot more common from these teams that are coming up?
I think typically when you bump up, the hard any level, the hardest challenge is your up front, your OL, your DL, because everybody grabs those guys, right? And I've always said I think if you're an FCS team and you do bump up, I think year one, year two, you have a better, because you've been able to typically keep most of your players because they've been, nobody's seen them yet. After this year, everybody's going to see them. So we'll see what happens going forward. But I always think there's a continuity matters so much more now in college football than it ever has. And as you can see, teams lose people every year. But if you look at their rosters, Delaware hadn't lost much. They hadn't lost much, comparably to everybody else in the league. And so I'm not saying that's an advantage. Well, it can be, right? The more players that are in the system, more players that know how to play, and you're playing juniors and seniors and redshirt, whatever, 7-year guys, they're going to be better than guys that hadn't played much at School X, but you're bringing in here because you need them because they've played more. Maybe they're not as talented or whatever, but they've played more football, and the experience playing football matters in today's college football, especially I think at the G5 level. It matters a lot.
After one more, Coach.
The run defense has been pretty solid too. I mean, just their ability to tackle, is that something that's how do you overcome that?
Yeah, I think what they do a great job of is that they don't do tons of stuff. Meaning they're not going to play 5,000 exotic looks. They're going to do what they do, and they know how to do it, and they play unbelievable technique, and they don't misfit stuff. And what I mean by that is if the linebacker is supposed to be in the A gap, he's going to become an A gap, and until the cows come home, and he's going to be there. And so they put themselves in position to where they're not out of position, if that makes sense. And so you got to do a really good job. You got to really do a job of making sure your schemes are solid. But you got to do a good job of blocking. They're going to be where they're supposed to be, and they're going to and you got to be able to finish blocks. So if we got guys on, we can't just I touched the guy, got him. We got to be able to finish through the whistle if you're going to have a chance to maybe break some tackles and some of those, because they don't beat themselves. I mean, if you go look at a lot of their video, they don't beat themselves. Nobody's giving up getting like huge explosive plays on them because they're going to be smart and say, hey, we're going to see if you're good enough to continue to come after us every snap instead of trying to get one over the top and some of those things. They do a great job of that, and that's why I think they're successful, is they're good at what they do. People try to take shots on them. They miss them, and they get them in a lot of third and longs. And then they're pretty good at getting off the football because they're a physical group, and they play a lot of guys. They play a lot of guys, and so I think that's the challenge. Can you, when you have opportunities at shot plays or whatever, can you make them? And you got to be wise on when you do that, and and because if you miss those or whatever, you put yourselves in bad. That's when they're really good. They're I don't know where overall rankings defensively, but I think they're close to top league in about everything, and so they're pretty good, pretty salty.